people might say, when you look at the bigger picture of what's gone on, say, in the last 12 days in the land of Meghan Markle, does her staff truly have her best interests at heart? You know, when you think about it, you look at everything that's gone along, and really what you're seeing is somebody who is really enjoying the moment. You know, there's no two ways about it. She loves being in the limelight, and it's very, very apparent about what I'm going to show you today. And more importantly, where it's now going, because what you're really looking at is a couple that are going definitely down two separate paths. And according to an ex-staff member, Prince Harry is now reaching the bolt point of literally the abyss. He's just looking into an empty space for days and days on end. As ever, let me explain. Morning chums, nice to see you. Thank you so much for joining me today, and welcome one and all brand new subscribers. Can I also point out, many of you mentioned the other day about the wonderful gypsy tarts, and you mentioned, I know this is an offshoot, but I wanted to share what I remembered, the thing about the Manchester tart. I've had them. They're the ones a little bit like, you know, with the custard, aren't they? And then the cherry and then the coconut. I thoroughly recommend those. The Manchester tart, if you've never tried one, ladies and gents, or watching this show on a regular basis, you've got to try it. They are absolutely wonderfully, beautifully delicious. I mean, just absolutely good. But you don't get, you only get them in certain areas, don't you? And that's the problem. If you like a certain thing, you can only buy it in a certain area. And I think that's kind of frustrating. But again, if we had all the buns, we'd never get out the chair, would we? That's the thing. Can I also point out, by the way, I'm desperately looking into the camera. So many of you pointed it out, and I agree. The thing is, I had, just to also warn you, I had a screen thing put on the camera as a protection, you know, because I've got one of these leads now where you can't steal it off me in the heart of London. And the thing is, it made it darker, but you don't realise it until you're uploading it. Does that all make sense to you? I know. But so be careful when you get the screen thing, because that's a problem, right? And you don't realise it. They put it on, they play around with your settings, give you it back, and you've got no idea. Fortunately, I've got my chums here that tell me, and then you look at it and think, yeah, you know, that is a little bit weird, but hopefully I've monitored it a little bit better now. I'll keep you posted on how it develops, but if you get that done, be careful. Let's get back, of course, to your story of the day. This, did you see this? Absolutely, very strange. I don't know about you, I found this a little bit, you know, here you are, stood on a platform, right, basically saying that, you know, you want to relate, etc., and you're sitting down with a Fortune 100, a thing that you've paid for. I mean, you know, no two ways about it. You've joined it, you've paid for it. You know, she couldn't even pull in a decent sized crowd. And remember, this has been advertised, this has been sent round internally. You know, there wasn't really enough people there to create that momentum. When you look at the full interview online, an utter disaster. So again, whoever's looking after Meghan, as I said at the start of the video, a waste of time. But here's the thing, you know, she's admitted that she doesn't put the comments on because she can't bear to read the negativity. And as I've mentioned, the problem that you have is if you're running a business, you have to look at the negativity. Believe it or not, sometimes I even get negative comments, and you just have to look at it. And you think, well, okay, they have a point, or, you know, maybe I should have mentioned that, or I missed that bit out, and, you know, all that sort of stuff. But that's the point of having interaction. And in a business, it's vital. The problem that you have now, and this is where you've seen the massive split between the two, and this is, you know, as I say, according to a very good ex-staff member who was there until recently, Harry and Meghan lose staff more frequently than people realise, because they're brought in on what I think the Americans call it stringers. We call it over here in the United Kingdom casual labour, or casuals and stuff like that, or if you're in Nottingham, ducks. I don't know why, but you do. But the thing is, that's casual labour. They're back and forth. A lot of them, you know, come and go. They're brought in on short-term things, that sort of stuff. Now, you know, when Meghan does something like this, which is the inside shot of the cockpit of the private jet that she's now on, and then, of course, she utilises the video reels for her going backstage, gearing up, of course, to go on stage for a Fortune talk. Two things pointed out there. Don't miss it. She's using 9 to 5 Dolly Parton because she wants Dolly Parton for the Christmas special still to come in as an insert. And she figured by using the music, because she had to ask permission, that then Dolly would be reactivated to that and perhaps say yes. Remember, you heard that here first. I told you also about Daniel, the makeup artist. He's now been chucked out, and you will see that everybody else has picked up on that story, simply because, of course, she didn't like the fact that, well, you know, somebody else was taking command of it. So where are they as a duo, as a couple now? Well, the problem is this, as you know, Harry reluctantly went to New York City and he had a lot of problems out there, as I told you, very, very nervous about getting up to speak. And, one can only assume it's not that he's not used to speaking. This is because he doesn't feel comfortable now in the presence, whatever he might say, according to that staff member, of his wife. She's very commandeering, she's very demanding, very domineering in that aspect. Meghan has no influx, as it were, so she doesn't realise whether the audience like her or not. You will watch her when she's been interviewed on the Fortune thing. She's just telling you her story. She doesn't care really whether you like it or not. You're supposed to applaud at the right times. And she has all the media training that she's had behind her. For instance, the fact that Netflix have dumped her. No, that's been rewritten as that gives me strength to look at other options. No, sister, you're being dumped because it's rubbish. And you can dress that up any way you want. Netflix, if they wanted you, they'd be doing what they're doing with Victoria Beckham and offering a mega deal. But they're not offering a mega deal. They're basically saying, we'll have a look at what you've got and we'll decide if we like it. But no, Meghan can't read that. So her team have told her, this deal gives you strength. She compares herself to the Obamas. She compares the fact that, she's looking at small people to collaborate with. This is because the biggies don't want to know. Nobody wants to know or work with Meghan because she's not a proven success. I'm not decrying that. She's not a bad articulator, good communicator in many respects, still a pretty lady at certain points, can look good, but everything is put out in a bad way. Everything. You see, the cockpit picture just really alienates people. You're asking people in a cost of living crisis, even in the luxury level market, to shell out a lot of money for your jam on your wine. But basically, rather than claiming you're working 9 to 5, you're saying, look, I'm in the lap of luxury. Look at all my shoes in this picture. You're just alienating the people that you desperately want on board. Why is there a problem with Harry? According to a very big source, well, Harry basically is a person who is, without want of a better word, a man without mission, right? And he came back from London buoyed up. He was happy. Things had gone quite well for him. I know what you're saying, lots of empty spaces, but he was back doing something that he remembered. And we've all done that, when you think, oh, it's quite good. I'm kind of glad to be doing this. He was glad. The disastrous re-meet with his father has not gone well at all. And behind, of course, his father's back, he tried to negotiate a meeting, again, allegedly, with the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood. That didn't work well either. He's continued to send letters to the Home Office about, his feelings regarding security and what he feels that should happen now moving forward. But as you can see, and as I told you in a recent video, Meghan's idea of returning to the United Kingdom will only be on the stance of that she has something to trumpet about. She wants to make sure that she's got lots going on in her world to say, look, I'm back and I'm a success. The Netflix show has already been written off by Netflix. Putting it out in November says we're not interested. This is not a Christmas holiday special. This is one to bury. And she's already let slip the fact that it's a disaster because she's showing different ways of gift wrapping. And right. And the thing is, the guest list is not great either. The problem that you have is that she's reeling from terrible, terrible PR. And other PR people tell you different things. And, I can only tell you on what I would do if I was marketing her. I would never have put the video up of the twerking. I certainly would never have been distasteful enough to have her driving through Princess Diana's area. But of course, Meghan believes, and Harry is now, waking up at points, that even that looked bad. I've told you that those particular headlines about Harry saying he's annoyed about people criticising his wife, absolute poppycock. He was furious about the Diana thing, but he's helpless. He can't do anything. Right now, the couple work very much separately. He's trying to get the charitable thing going. She's not particularly keen on the charitable thing, again, allegedly, and my opinion, because she wants to become a billionairess, make money. That's the deal. That's what she wants to do. And of course, you can't plough all of that in unless you can do that. The next idea is to offer a free column to Vogue. Yeah, absolutely, 100% free, where Meghan looks at some of the glitziest, outfits, red carpet affairs, what's in, what's out, almost like Meghan's diary, but they don't want to pay her. No, no, no. And this is where it gets interesting, because she will do it for free because of the exposure and being in US Vogue, a thing where she feels she can now start to take on the British entrepreneur and fashionista Victoria Beckham. That was the point of that meeting. For Prince Harry, lots of things haven't worked out. He spends basically days just playing gaming and wandering around with his son, going hiking or cycling. He doesn't really have anything to do on that daily basis. And this is where the couple are now at this fractious point, because she has found her ambition again. She's now dropping, as I told you, remember, we were the first here to know about this. I said that she is dropping all of that stuff regarding As Ever, and now slowly moving into the world of fashion and slowly moving into the fact that she wants to be a mover or a shaker. You see? One of the elements, though, that really shocked Meghan in the fact that, you know, her popularity, as it were, and she couldn't believe this wasn't, of course, about Diana and the distastefulness of that particular video, but it was the inclusion of the British singer, very successful singer-songwriter, Ed Sheeran. And she, you know, used his picture in her reel without permission, right? Now, this is what I mean about Meghan being an absolute diva, right? I'm putting that politely. You know, the thing is, she didn't think she needed permission to include him in that reel because, well, she's Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, right? So this is the thing. She's now dropped the idea of Sussex, and everybody has to call her Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, and after that, Mom. Right, Fortune? Absolutely, 100%. But here's where this gets really interesting, because the bottom line is, again, she put the picture up, and as I told you, and everybody's now followed on, but I told you first, that he was just simply in the restaurant. He wasn't there meeting them for dinner. And this was a private dinner that he was at, and it was actually to do with his recording deals and all sorts of stuff, publishing. So he did a good favour by just coming along and saying hello. And they came to him and said hello, should I say. She utilised that picture, had to remove it, and that's now caused a friction between Harry and Ed, who got on for years, right, previously to this. Ed is also very keen to carry on working with the Prince and Princess of Wales, William and Catherine. So very clearly he's laying down the lane of where he wants to be. You see how this works. The bigger story behind that is also this, and this is also very important. You see what a bully Meghan is, because when other people put pictures up, like her makeup artist, Daniel, and puts comments up and stuff like that, whip down, you will do as I say. The guy that was on Suits with her, you know, I can't remember his name now, but you know the guy that posted the pictures up, Patrick Adams, J. Adams. He put the pictures up very quickly. He had to beg, and they were taken down, simply because, you know, he'd not cleared it with her. This is the world that Harry is now living in, and one by one, the people that got on with him are distancing themselves. When you saw Harry with the doorbell and all that sort of stuff, he was looking for somebody to connect with. Now, I've got no sympathy, as many of the chums and who watch our show on a regular basis like me. We don't have sympathy because, quite frankly, you've made your bed, you've done it. But Meghan Markle is ploughing on her own. And the individual pictures of her with her daughter, Princess Lily, tell you exactly the track that she's going down. She sees herself, like Victoria Beckham, with her daughter Harper. And this is the now furrow that she's ploughing. And this does not include Prince Harry. Now, he can stay at home, he can bring the money, he can do the fights for security, but in the business mode, Meghan is singular, doing this on her own. Until next time, Neil Sean, Kensington, London.